Welcome back, Planet Coaster adventurers, as we continue our brand new park here on UK Theme Parks. And as we said in the last episode, this one is going to be about theming our, what I think will be our star attraction, our inverted coaster of devastation. So what we're going to use some of the broken bits from the Studios pack. There's quite a lot of bits without wheels because you can customise the wheels. Some of them we'll put wheels on, some of them we won't. We're going to add a bit of road in, we're going to have a bit of destruction, a bit of carnage. And yeah, at the moment it does kind of look like we're just abandoning things, places, but you will hopefully see it come together very, very soon. Obviously, it doesn't look like there's a lot of difference between the tarmac and the rock, but there is a little bit. There's a little bit of a shading difference. But these traffic lights, I really wish the traffic lights were just traffic lights. I find them really, really difficult to put together. But we'll put some signs on here and we'll try and get a light on there as well. Hopefully as well. There we go. Oh, nearly. There we go. We've got it on. We're going to get it tilted so that it's looking a bit broken. We've got our fire truck there. And yeah, we've got quite a lot to do in this episode. We've got the top bit to do as well. As you see, this will lead down to here. So we're going to have a little bit of concrete path, a little bit of broken road heading into the ditch, which has kind of, been damaged in what I really think is perceived as more of an earthquake kind of event rather than, certainly not alien invasion, as we said we were looking at the swarm in terms of theming wise, but it's not going to be alien invasion. It's very much earthquake destruction. This is how it's ended up. Now then, this piece we flattened earlier, we're actually going to put a little bit of a road across it. Now then, we want to put the lines in, we want to make it as realistic as possible. There's no real easy way of putting lines, to be honest with you. So we're going to copy and paste some of the blocks, put the blocks down and make it look like a road. This will take quite a long time to go along here, getting them at the right height to make sure they're not sticking out too far, or indeed they don't disappear into the floor. Because we made sure that the road bit isn't absolutely straight. Because roads aren't straight, they're a little bit bumpy, and we've just had an earthquake, so there's going to be some bump to it. We'll get these moved into position and get them exactly how we want them to look. As we said, there is no easy way of doing this. There's no sort of road that you can put in on Planet Coaster. We see people do, amazing kind of entrances and car parks and things. And it is just, we've not found an easier way to do it. If you know an easier way to do this, by all means, leave it in the comments below. We would love to know because it kind of puts me off. I'm not one of these people that wants to do big entrances to the park with roads outside and things. I understand it looks realistic, but I want the inside of the park to look realistic. This is where the coasters are. I don't want to waste space on multi-storey car parks and things outside. I think, yes, definitely we need to do a more elaborate entrance. There's no doubt about that. But, I don't want to be going down that route. This is where I want it. This is where I want the action to be once people are inside the park. They can't see anything outside the park. They don't use it. They just walk in the entrance. So this is how we're going to do it. The earthquake has made a massive hole in the ground here, as you can see, so the road is just going to come to a really sticky end. Now, again, part of the studio packs is you do actually have curbs. We're going to put some curbs in right the way down here. Again, it's a little bit tricky because the road isn't flat. And we don't want it to look perfect again because we have got a little bit of devastation. So, making it look perfect does seem really, really stupid. But we definitely want to get curbs in down the side and make it look as realistic as possible. And that's from both sides as well. That's from left to right, even though you're kind of hanging off the edge of a cliff here into a massive hole where, the coaster is sort of emerged, if you will. We'll have to think of a storyline as to why the coaster's emerged out of it, but the devastation is one aspect that we want. This side is more damaged than the other because you can see it sinking in. So again, we don't want to make it completely flat. And we're going to have some extra rocks as well to prop up the areas, as you can see here, just to kind of give it the realistic effect. Now we want to put some cones in. You can see the damaged parts on the inside and the outside here. So we're going to cone those off for anyone that's stupid enough to drive down this road, because it always happens, doesn't it? It always happens. We're going to put some trees in because at the end of the day, there's always trees around here. We're going to have burnt trees to the end there from where it's been on fire, and we are going to make a little hole where a car has fallen into the hole. We'll have a bit of smoke as well, I think, and we might have to make it a little bit deeper. We'll have a look, see how it is. Pop that in there and we'll have a red light. Red light of death as you go down. Pop some lights on there. Again, we want to colour in, kind of make it look as realistic as possible. So we'll have some smoke in there from a crash car, which we're going to put in there shortly. There's a little bit of a mist effect, nothing too serious, to be honest. But when we get the car in there, we want you to know that this car has had some serious problems dropping over the end of this cliff. Now, we do need to sort out the terrain as well. We'll have the concrete terrain around here. We'll have a bit more rock as well. But effectively, you know, this road was not so much of an overpass as it looks. This road would have gone all the way round, and the earthquake has sunk this area now in which the coast is in, and indeed the road has sunk with it. So we will continue the road as well down to the bit where we've just put the fire engine and everything. We'll make it a bit rough around the edges. We forgot to make it a little bit rough around the edges, and then we'll recolor it, and we do need to get a car in here too. But yeah, we definitely want some mist effects. We want some smoke and some mist coming out the ground down there, and we'll have a car inside. Hopefully we can see it, and we're going to have a car hanging off the edge as well, one that hasn't quite fallen, but might be close. There we go. He's proper dangling on the edge there. Make sure even the little details with the signs as well. We want little details with the signs in to make sure people stay away from this road. It's not something you want to be driving down when there's a massive hole at the end. And of course, we'll have a route number as if it was an American highway. So yeah, really happy with that top bit. You know, it's very, very simple and honestly, all we've done is add a bit of path, add a bit of road looking, add a bit of curb, and then add a complete devastation drop at the end. So really, really happy with how that's come about. Now, I do want to get the roof on here. As we said, we're going to have a flat roof across this bit, which mixes in with the edging which we've put on. So we'll get that into place, and that pretty much finishes that one off. Now then, there are other bits we want to do as well. We're going to copy some of this road so that we can put it down here, because as we said, we do want the road to kind of go through and make it look like there should have been a really soft sort of entrance area around here, and you know, the should have connected really, really nicely, and indeed it's just turned into complete devastation. So we'll change a bit of the path down here, but rather than redoing it all, then we can, you know, copy across from the other parts of the road, and we'll add some scenery in as well. As we said, where the terrain isn't flat, you still got to move everything across, make sure it isn't sticking out too far, make sure it looks like a realistic road. That goes for curbs as well. Just a bit too high, just a bit too high. But we don't want it flat, we don't want it, you know, exactly flat. We'll duplicate that across to make sure it looks good, and then we'll add a bit of road around it as well to make it look blend in, and then of course rock at the end. And as you can see, actually it does blend in really, really nicely with the road. So it kind of works perfectly. Now we don't want to use any anything from the workshop on this. We want to kind of build our own. So we are now going to try and build our own billboard. Not a billboard, obviously, that the ride's going through. As we said, when we're basing on Swarm, we don't want something like that. But we do want a billboard which will display and kind of look like it's part of the city block. I'm not really sure how we're going to build this. We're just going to have a little play with it now. Now then, for the billboard, we are going to use the metal framework to have a real classic American style billboard. We're going to make sure that it does stick to the front, the screens, because we will undoubtedly use the LED screens as well. And with the LED screens, what we'll do is we'll download some real classic images from probably the internet, and honestly some picture images to have on the billboards, which we'll use in the game. Now then, with the billboards, of course, I am actually looking at a picture of one now, which I'm going to try and replicate from Google. It's an American style one. You have an area where they can walk up and down it in order to change it if you don't have a digital one. Although this will be a picture, it will be a digital one, but generally they're not. So a nice big metal framework which we've got here. We'll have this part on top, and we're going to add some little fancy decoration parts as well. They may not look like they suit, but actually once they're in there, they're going to look pretty cool. I think they're going to look pretty cool. Let us know what you think though. Do these just look like hanging baskets, or do these look pretty cool? We're going to bring them forward and make it really stand out. I definitely think there's a lot of scope still with Planet Coaster to have, I say a better set, but yeah, a better set of components. You know, they do some wonderful stuff like this, and then you just don't have the brackets. You have to go elsewhere to get the brackets, which is really annoying to another pack. But yeah, I think it works quite well. We're then going to use the stage effects, I think, to do the screens. So this is the screen we're going to use. This is how big the billboard's going to be. And we will have it double-sided too. At the end of the day, we want to be able to see it from both sides of the park. The stage stuff is brilliant, because the stage stuff really does look like it's something from the solid steel and metal construction which we need to make this billboard. We'll have a quick test of the billboard, because I've in the past put these on back to front, which doesn't particularly help when you make something to have them on back to front. So these are the right way around, and here is the billboard. So we've lined it up perfectly. Still a little bit more work to do because we want to make sure it's got some lights on it, because it's not going to be shown in video. We're not going to have a backlit one either because we don't want it particularly ruining what area we're going to have it in. So we're just going to see what lights fit best here. I think these lights, there we go. So we're going to have some lights either side, which will light up the billboard when it's in action. But really, really happy with this billboard. We've got to put a ladder on there as well because people are going to get up to it and maintenance it and change it best they can. Look at that. I'm really pleased with that. I'm really, really pleased with the billboard. And I think once it's in situ, it's going to come across really, really well and look absolutely fantastic. So that's the plan anyway. But this is the billboard. We can copy this billboard. We can use it in a couple of places in this area, including in this area down here now where we're going to move it to. So as you can see, we have put a graphic on it. It seems to come out better one side than the other. And we've put a broken effect across it as well. There we go. So we've put like a Halloween one on there. And it's an old plutonium Golf one for the fuel, which is typical American style, and that's certainly the way we want that to happen. We of course are going to put and have put some more rock work around it as well to kind of make it look like it's buried into the wall where the road kind of ends, and then of course we need to make the top bit. So this top bit here will actually be home to the main path area. So you'll be going down to the ride rather than it being, you know, a must walk through, if you will, and you'll be able to go around to the top area where we're going to have a flat ride and we're going to have some buildings as well. We're probably going to have some theming on the top here, and we have an idea for a big ride to swing over the inverted coaster. Now we do want some trees down here as well. We want some foliage around. Not too much though, because this would have been the edge of the roadway, so just a couple to sort of hide some of the elements that we've got down here. So we're going to leave you with some brilliant Planet Coaster music now while we continue to theme around this area. What we're also going to do is put in a police car, which we are going to have a fire effect linked to the ride on, and we're going to do that now, and we'll be back with you shortly. So as you saw there, we put quite a lot of detail in, quite a lot of extra parts in down at the bottom of what we call the drop where the billboard is. We've put some bits down there. We've put some fire effects in there as well, which we'll test at a later time with the coaster. And we've also done a little bit of structural kind of filling in on the building to fill in some of the gaps which we'd left. Now this new building at the top here will be home to the shops. It'll have some facilities as you go through. Eventually round the side here where we're building this tower, we'll go through to another area, likely the fairy tale area. So it is quite important that people will be walking along here. They will be seeing it. As we said, we're going to be putting in a ride to complement the coaster. In addition to that, we're going to be putting in some facilities here for people to stop and look. Now we want this building to look fairly good, in honesty. Again, best of my ability that we can possibly make it look. We're going to have a little clock tower here before we put some wood up the side, and we're going to keep it very much in the theme of what we already have down the bottom. I think it's very important to keep it in the theme of that. I think it's going to work really, really nicely. We're going to get a few across the top here. I have to move that a bit up because we kind of, yeah, with that. We'll go around the base and we'll go up here. Yeah, we do want to get some of the finer detail. I think it's very, very important to get some of the finer detail in here before we put the shops and everything in. Once we've got the shops in as well, we'll go around and add a little bit more details. But as we said, this is kind of the main building area of the actual theme park area here. You know, there's nothing really, although there will be some shops down the bottom, you know, that is the coaster that's down there. This will be the part that everyone comes to. This will be the part that people walk through, particularly if they don't want to go on the coaster. So this will be imperative that we get this bit right. Now, in keeping with the thrilling coaster, which is down there, the inverted coaster, once we've put a roof on this and once we've done this, we are going to build a flat ride. Now, I have a couple of ideas in mind for the flat ride. We'll either have a large tower going up, we may have a gyro swing, we may pop it right on the edge of sort of the hill bit that we've done there, and we may have a gyro swing go over. We'll have to check the clearance with the inverted coaster. We're going to shorten this down a little bit. I don't think we need that quite as big as what it was. In keeping with the rest, we're going to pop a roof on this now, a nice simple roof, mix it all in, and yeah, that's our building. We will put some shops in there at some point. But of course, we also want to add a little bit of detail before doing our next ride. Now then, that's that done. Really happy with that, really happy with the look of that. So, well, that's quite a big footprint, that. I think this is the one. So I think this is what we're going to go for. Now then, if we balance this, we'll do a little bit of testing on this, but I think the gyro swing that starts on the high ground and actually swings over the ride down the bottom is going to be a real great feeling once you're on the ride. I mean, the way it sort of goes around is going to be absolutely incredible. You know, as if these gyro swings aren't big enough as they are, once you're kind of on it and you're swinging over the top of a roller coaster, I think this is the ride that's going to, you know, really stand out and make the area stand out as well. You'll see this from a bit further away where the inverted coaster, although it is in the ground, does come out obviously for Lift Hill. I think this will be the ride that people see when they come round, so this will be the one that we mix in. We're going to keep it in theme with it as well. We don't really want a lot of grass around here, so we're going to rock it out and path it out as well, and just tidy up some of the other areas as we go round. There's still a little bit of work to do, still a few shrubs and scenery we need to put around here, but the areas come together really nicely. A little bit more pathing I think we'll do before we head on and start the next area. We will have to come back and make some finishing touches, there's no doubt about that, but I think we're near enough done on this. See, this one has a spotlight. I love this helicopter, it has a spotlight. So what we'll do is we'll barricade this in, and I think we'll have this going over the entrance area, so that it highlights and spotlights down to the entrance as you walk in. It seems a bit cheating really, but I think it's a great idea to have that there, and it will look fantastic at night. As we said, we do want to do some scenery down here as well. You know, we want to make it look like you're walking into somewhere where you shouldn't be walking. Quite simply, you're walking down a path into a derelict area which you shouldn't be heading down to. So we're going to pretend it's all fenced off. We're going to put the chain fences all the way down, and we don't want them accurate. We want them so they're sort of falling and they're sort of, you know, held up. There we go. We'll pop that in there. Put an end on each end. And you know, this is the terrain that you shouldn't be going down. A few signs as well, a few radioactive signs. At the end of the day, everything's collapsed down there. There we go. We're going to have some red lights going down. That'll be our on the way down. That's our stay clear route. And then we'll have some street lamps. We'll pop some street lamps on. We used the pre-built ones. It's too difficult putting them all together. And we're going to pop those right the way down the road as well. Again, it's all about the realism, keeping it fairly simple. It'll also add a bit of light to the area for when you're on the ride and when you're walking around it. Finish off the area here, and yeah, a little bit of work to do down the base here. We'll have to recolor as we go, but yeah, it's coming together really nicely. We definitely want to have some effects in here, and this for me, this is the highlight area of the park. Whether or not it will turn out like that, I don't know, but this is in my mind, this is the highlight area of the park, what we see here. So it'll be really interesting to see what else we kind of throw together and whether or not we can get some big rides in further down the line. We are looking next, we're going to go over to the sort of Egyptian area, and we are going to have a hypercoaster going in very shortly, and that's also where we're going to do our shooting ride. We're going to have our shooting ride, the Ghostbusters ride as well in the Egyptian area. So yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to building. It's not something I've done before, so something I'm really looking forward to sort of getting the grips with and sorting out the targets and making sure that there's enough in there to do and shoot at, and changing again. You have to change the targets and the scoring as well. It's all really interlinked. Looks quite confusing, but it certainly looks a challenge which we want to do. That's that area done for now. Here comes the hyper coaster. We are going to go for a B&M one, I think, to go along here. And it's just sort of going to be an out and back coaster. Nothing too strenuous, nothing too massive, no record breakers or anything like that. We literally want it to go out to the end of the park and then do a nice turnaround. We'll use one of the turnaround pieces and come back. That said, we do know this will be a popular ride, so we do want to get a little bit of theming down here as well. It's very difficult to theme sort of massive out and back coasters. So we'll probably add a bit of water, a bit of rock work, and then kind of theme the entrance area. I want to make sure it goes round. We'll quickly get this put together. These are fairly easy. They're not too strenuous in honesty to build. You can usually get good ratings. Sometimes you have to change the corners. So where they go so fast into the corners, the G-force can be a little bit unrealistic sometimes. And we do want to try and make these as realistic as possible, whilst it's not always possible to do so when you're really trying to stretch it out. That's something we want to base it in. So it is very simple, out and back. We're going to have a block break in the middle as well, because the park does get busy. We want to make sure we can run multiple trains and the train starts off before the other one gets back to the station area. And again, when you look at the hyper coasters, certainly one I've been on, Shambhala, this kind of happens where you have mid-course break runs after the main section of track, so you can, run the multiple trains. And that's something we definitely want to keep in track too. We'll have to keep an eye on this corner. This corner might be a bit tight, but we'll most likely come back to it rather than do much now. We'll smooth it all out now. We'll make sure that it goes round, and then before we hit the theming, we will come back and just make sure we get the G-forces right. But yeah, very simple, nice out-back coaster. It will be popular. All the hypers are always popular. We'll get 2 trains running on that. We should run quite efficiently, and it should be quite a queue eater, which is exactly what we are looking for in this park. Now then, with that in place, on the right-hand side here, we are going to flatten this area very slightly. We're going to make a little green spot so we know exactly where we're building. We're going to add an entrance area to walk into your Egyptian sort of tomb based land that we'll build in, and then we'll have space as well to put our Ghostbusters shooting ride in behind it, and it should all hopefully come together quite nicely. We've got quite a lot of room around here. We have started building on the complete opposite side to what the kind of devastation area is over the other side, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem in fitting it in. We are where we want a couple of areas, and I should probably link these a little bit better, but I do like to build sort of out and about and then join them at the end. I do find it just a little bit easier to do so. But how do you find building? Do you find it easier to do it next to each other, or do you start from one end to the other and then meet in the middle? Let us know in the comments below. We're wrapping up this episode now with this. The next episode we are going to hit the Ghostbusters shooting ride, our very first shooting ride that we've done in the game since the update pack came out, and we are thoroughly looking forward to it. I'd love to see how it works, love to see how interactive it actually is. I know we can get on and ride it as well, so I really want to see what score we can get, kind of based on what we know the scores will be available, and indeed what effects we can link as well, because the Ghostbusters pack, although it's quite expensive, really does have a lot of detail going on, and it's got some amazing animations going on, and of course lifelike to the original film. We're not going to be recreating any sets from the original film. We'll definitely do on our own one, so stay tuned, come back, and make sure you check out the next episode.